talking forever. But I made it fun, so if you pay attention, you might get prizes. Then we're going to go into the brain, because I'm obsessed with the brain, so you can learn a little bit about how your brain works when it comes to gaming. And then why gamification helps security teams, and as well as how gamification has transformed lives. So overall, gamification is basically games that work on problem solving, processing speed, attention span, and memory. And now let's dive into the history. You guys ready for this? You gotta pay attention. All right, in 425 BC, dice games were created to fight major famine. And in 3100 BC, first board game was created in Egypt. S&H Green Stamp was the first time ever marketers sold stamps to retailers that if the customer returns, they get a discount. And in 1958, the first video game was invented. And Charles Cordutt founded a consulting firm called that Game of Work, and it brings feedback loops found in sports into the workplace. And MUD1 is created by Roy at Essex University, and was the first multi-user virtual world game. Thomas Malone publishes What Makes Things Fun to Learn, a study of intrinsically motivating computer games. And in 1981, the first ever 3D video games were released. American Airlines actually introduces the very first frequent flyer program known as Aid Advantage, and Holiday launched their first loyalty program as well. National Car Rental did follow the first car rental rewards program, and 30% of American households now actually own an NES. A new generation of gamers is now officially born. And Richard Bartle publishes Who Plays MUAs, which divides video game players into 4 unique types. You guys ready for this? Okay, the first person to raise their hand and give me the right answer. And I have my lovely assistant over here who's gonna also help me out here. You ready? Everyone, let's do this. In what year did the first video game come out? Yes.
1958.
Perfect. Do you want a Reese's or a Kit Kat bar? Kit Kat. Excellent. And it glows in the dark, you guys, because we're all kids. We love this stuff, right? All right, you ready for the next question? What country invented the first board game? Yes. Huh? Yep. Kit Kat or Reese's? Thank you. Next question. What airline did the first frequent flyer mile? Okay, all the way down there. Yep, and which one? Kit Kat, Reese's? Perfect, thank you. All right, there we go. Candy, you ready for the next part? All right, in 2002, Serious Gaming Initiatives forges a link between the gaming industry and training, health, education, and public policy. And in 2003, Nick Pelling coins the term gamification. In 2007, Bunchball created Dunder Mifflin Infinity. It's actually a gamified website for the TV show The Office, and it receives over 8 million page views within 6 weeks. 2009, Quest to Learn accepts a class of 6th graders into a game-based learning environment. And in 2010, DevHub adds a point system to its website and increases user engagement by 70%. 2010, Gamification Co. holds the first gamification summit in San Francisco. And in 2012, 45,000 enroll in a Professor Kevin online gamification course through Coursera. In 2012, Mozilla Open's Badges Initiative is launched, and the open source badges can be used to mark accomplishments online. 2012, Gartner predicts 70% of the global 2,000 organizations will have at least one gamified application by 2014. In 2014, M2 Research predicts that gamification will be a $2.8 billion industry by 2016. Which is true, and it actually went beyond that, and is expected to be about $11 billion industry by 2020. You guys ready again? Let's do this. Who coined the term gamification? Ooh, that would be Nick Pelling. Next one. What was the gamified website by Bunchball for the TV show The Office called? Yes? Yep. Kit Kat or Reese's? All right. Is that Reese's? Okay, good. Next one. Gamification is expected to become a blank billion-dollar industry by 2020. Yes? Yep. Reese's or Kit Kat? Thank you. So that is the end of the pop quiz, or is it not? It shall be mystery, but let's just dive right back into the presentation right now. True fact, though, is InfoSec has always been gamified. Think about it. We do CTFs, we do bug bounty, we do hackathons, so it's always existed. And that's why now we have a timeline. And so in 1995, Netscape launched the first ever bug bounty program known to man. And the first DEF CON CTF was actually in 1996. And bug bounty programs were actually created and managed by companies such as Google and Facebook and Mozilla. And Pwn to Own started in 2007. And last but not least, the bug bounty programs themselves, like those platforms, actually started coming around in 2012, 2013. And for the first time ever, companies didn't have to manage their own. So yeah, there's more of a pop quiz here. You guys ready? Next round. The first bug bounty program was created in what year? Yeah. Right. Reese's or Kit Kat? Reese's? Okay. When was the first CTF at DEF CON? Who was it? I don't know. I think it was the guy with the red coat. 1996. Correct. Reese's or Kit Kat? Kit Kat. What are the 3 major bug bounty companies in the order of creation? Go, Phil. Close. Anyone else want to give it a go? Yes. Close, very close. Yeah, we could do that. Or I could just tell you, it's Bugcrowd, HackerOne, and Synac. So close. Okay. All right, now we're going to dive into the brains. So first things first. We're going to dive in and get to know your brain. And the questions that I asked was actually focused on that green part of your brain. That's it, whatever way you're looking. The green part, which is the temporal lobe. And in the temporal lobe, if you see, this where the amygdala and hippocampus is stored. And this is the part that's activated the most when it comes to gamification. So the temporal lobe is involved in processing sensory input into derived meanings for the appropriate retention of visual memory, language comprehension, and emotion association. It is where gamification thrives and where the amygdala and hippocampus are. But believe it or not, this is the part that if you are a good hacker or you work in InfoSec, this part is always lit up the most than any other part of your brain probably. So we're going to do an activity now. I'm going to basically say a line, and you're going to shout out, what is that word? Okay? Sound good? Okay, let's do this. A plant having a permanently woody main stem, usually growing to a high height and developing branches at some distance from the ground. You can shout out the answer. Tree, correct. The nutritious orange to yellow root of a plant of the parsley family. Good job. An article of furniture consisting of a flat top supported on one or more legs. Table. An institution where instruction is given. A moving cage for carrying passengers from one level to another. Good job. A device for transmission of sound or speech to a distant point. Everyone always thinks radio. Phone. A body of water of considerable size surrounded by land. Lake. A domestic fowl bred for its flesh, eggs, and feathers. A shallow, usually circular dish from which food is eaten. A precipitation in the form of ice crystals. Snow. I wish it was ice cream. Any circulating medium of exchange. Money. So how the temporal lobe works is that you are taught, in a sense, like this word has this visual. So whenever someone reads a description, an image comes to your head, and then you put a word to it. So in the temporal lobe, that's where that happens, is where the visuals are there for the visual cues to understand the description to put an actual image on it. And a lot is audible, and also it could be anything that's written. So, like I said, we're going to focus now in the amygdala and the hippocampus. So what is the hippocampus? It's basically short-term memories are transferred to long-term memories that are found in temporal lobe. So our conscious memories are actually formed in the hippocampus, taking a snapshot of a short-term working memory and committing it to a long-term memory stored in the temporal lobes. And yes, there's another activity. All right, now you gotta pay attention to the screens here. Everyone ready? Take note of the listed items. I want you to read it once, then twice. And when you're done, look up here. Okay, next up, I'm gonna ask you to take out your phone. So take out your phone. For the first time ever, you are allowed to take out your phone at a talk. Congratulations. Next step, you ready? I want you to basically get your notes out or draft an email. You're never gonna send it, trust me, you'll be fine. Everyone has that, raise your hand. Hands up when you got it, just keep them up. Everyone's got notes, drafts open? All right, cool. Now you have 2 minutes to try to write all that list in the same order. 2 minutes, go. You have about 1 more minute. Remember, it has to be in order, too. You have 30 seconds now. All right, phones down, both hands up. That's right, you're under arrest. No, I'm just kidding. All right, no changes can happen, and everyone make sure no one makes changes, okay? You hold each other accountable. How many of you guys got the 10 in the right order? Raise your hand. Anyone? Anyone even got 10? Did anyone get 10 of them correct? You did? Nice. And did you do it in the same order, or are you like? I would give you something for that. You want a Kit Kat or Reese's? Reese's. And did you do that because you came up with a story? See, that is a trick, ladies and gentlemen. How you do it is you make a story out of it. So the ones that are like incredibly professional, they do this for sport and for their living, they'll come up with a story. For example, I was walking in London with an umbrella and my shoe got stuck because I saw this cuddly toy in the store. But then I saw right next to it there was a shop and they were selling a melon. But then when I was walking, I actually ran into almost a tree because I almost slipped on some yogurt that was on the street because I was also distracted by that a parrot just like flew by in London for some strange reason. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, thank God, because my laptop would have broken if I fell. And I also would have ruined my red jumper. But then at the end of the day, I'm like, that red jumper is okay, but it just brings back those basketball days. So you could come up with a story like that, and it sticks in your head. So the more odd you make it, the better it sticks. So if you throw in an octopus somewhere on that story or anything like that, that's how you're going to remember these things. So gaming modules such as gamification, that shows that problem solving on time or whatnot. But the thing is, if you want to improve your hippocampus, your short-term memory to go into long-term memory, doing crossword puzzles work really well, and taking a new route home so you don't use the same one over and over, just walk a different way, and gaming modules. And the thing is to note is about that particular one that we just did, there was timing involved, so that makes you anxious. And if you are a red teamer, or pretty much you're a red teamer, or you're doing bug bounties, or you're at a hackathon or a CTF, timing is its essence, and that is where you thrive. So anyone here have anxiety? I do, so I'm just gonna raise my hand. Awesome. So if you have anxiety, chances are you're always stimulated in this particular region, the amygdala, which is an almond-shaped part of your brain, which is the fight versus fight mechanism. Basically, it's very socially constructed. For example, if someone told me, okay, no one has pink hair in here, right? Okay, so if someone said to you, be careful of someone with pink hair, they're dangerous people. What you're gonna do is when you see someone with pink hair, you're gonna run to the other side of the street, you're gonna do whatever you can to avoid that person because you were told at a very young age to be afraid. So your amygdala is constantly on when they see a threat. But also timing is one of those things. Yeah, I should say it's completely unconscious. The only time you can actually try to train it to go down is when you question it in your prefrontal cortex. So anytime your amygdala is like, oh my God, threat, 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 and it goes right to your head, your prefrontal cortex in the front part of your brain actually turns around and it's like, you need to chill out because you question it. And then it sends the messages back to the amygdala and say, calm down or fight or flight. All right. Here comes the activity. Everyone ready? And if you are scared of, well, I'm not even gonna go there. So there's two parts to this. So the first part, let's do this. Who saw the keys and shoes the first time? Has anyone actually seen this video before? Okay. All right, you ready for the next one? For those that didn't see the keys and shoes, here you go.
different series of images and text format. Ready? Go. You haven't noticed any snakes or spiders? Chances are you didn't. In case you're thinking we slowed down the images, I assure you we did not. All we did was substitute the shoes, keys, pictures of snakes and spiders. Why did one set of images come back while the other didn't? To answer that question,
You don't need to listen to him. I'll just tell you. Remember that thing I told you about socially constructed beliefs? So at a young age, you're told to be afraid of spiders or snakes. And maybe you weren't told, but you actually in the media, you saw in movies, people are scared of spiders and snakes. So you're like, oh, I should probably be scared of these spiders and snakes. So that is when your amygdala is hitting really hard. It's like, oh my God, freeze. If anyone's been in a car accident, who's been in a car accident? Okay, so I don't know if you've experienced this, is where suddenly it feels like everything just slowed down really slow in that moment. And the reason for that is because you're on high alert. You're in survival mode completely. And that's called the amygdala hijack, actually, believe it or not. So that is how it is. So when you saw those spiders and those snakes, it seemed like it was slower for some reason, right? Interesting, right? Yeah, that's it. Okay. So how does gamification actually help secure teams? Not only does it help when it comes to reflexes, but also you learn these things and you put it into good usage. And not just that, but certifications are not enough anymore. And we need to always be aware of everything at all times and the new trends. And then we also have burnout. We have lack of team members as well on our team, and that leaves us for a huge security risk. I mean, how many of you guys actually experienced a shortage on your security team? Yeah. It's hard because you have to wear multiple different hats and you have to do a lot more. And that's why it's really needed more than ever to do gamification so then you can learn new skills really fast and retain it really fast in an effective way. Because if I were to be up here for talking for 4 hours about something, you're not going to pick up majority of that. You might pick up 10 to 20% of that at most. So that's why it's important to actually do something where it constantly brings you back in. So every 8 minutes, you need something new. You know why Family Guy thrives? It's because it has those random moments. So, you'll have a conversation with someone, and then a chicken just comes busting in trying to beat his ass. So, and the Kool-Aid guy as well. So that's why it's so successful, is because people with ADD and high anxiety, you love that stuff because it keeps you on your toes. So Gartner came out in 2020. I don't have to read this. Can you guys read it? Because I would totally read this out loud, but I don't have my glasses either. All right. So now, again, you're going to want to listen, hint, to the facts here. So fact number one, 96% of companies that adapt gamification in the workplace report seeing benefits, which is fantastic. And that's based on gamification exercises such as hackathons, capture the flag, red team, blue team, bug bounty programs as well. And more than half, 57% of respondents actually report that using game increases awareness and IT staff knowledge of how breaches can occur. And 43% of gamification enforces teamwork culture needed for quick, effective cybersecurity, and 77% of senior managers agreed that their organization would be safer if they used more gamification. And to address the shortage in skilled cybersecurity worker, the report also suggests that gamers, those engaged and immersed in online competitions, may be the logical next step to plug the gap. And believe it or not, that nearly 92% of respondents believe that gaming affords players experience and skills crucial to cybersecurity, such as threat hunting, like logic, perseverance, and understanding of how to approach adversaries and a fresh outlook compared to traditional cybersecurity team. That's why more often now, when you're going for job interviews to be on a red team, your future manager will ask you questions, do you play games? And if they're not, they're going to try to find out, social engineer you to find out now. And the reason for that is that they would rather hire someone who does gaming than does not do gaming, because it shows that you're effective, you're fast. And 77% of employees find game-based training to be more effective than traditional training methods, such as standing up here and giving you a 4-hour lecture. And the most important thing is that not only does gamification help, so if you do, like, say for example, before you are employed, you actually go through an exercise. And this gaming module basically tests out your speed, your strengths, and your weaknesses. This is a game-changing moment, to be honest, because I don't know about you, ladies in here, for example. Sometimes when you submit your resume, you're worried that they're gonna see your name and not call you for the next interview, because biases do exist. And so in a sense, we have noticed that when you do gaming modules before being hired, this is a really good thing to note, because what ends up happening is the people that they usually reject based on resumes, and because sometimes they just see certifications like that person's perfect, but in reality they might not be the best person on the team. And for the first time ever, they're actually able to see who's going to do a better job in the end. And that's changing dynamics, because now there's more women being hired because of this. And believe it or not, even when you're doing gaming modules, even when you're on your team, so sometimes companies, they'll like hire gamification modules to test out their team, find their weaknesses, basically do like, some of them have like a Netflix kind of thing where it's set up where you get to pick which ones you want to do, the courses. And so those that do pretty well on those, they finally get flagged and notice that they're actually someone really good on the team. And also, once again, another interesting thing for women, a lot of that time is the women are in junior pen testing positions. And what happens is that they go through this course, and then basically their manager sees their talent and cannot believe that they actually outbeat them themselves. And so that's something to think about, is that this is a way to actually challenge biases. And also, like I said, we do have a skills gap. It's not just about certifications anymore. And not just that, we are all burned out in this industry. We burn out so fast because we have weird hours of sleep. Let's be real. And not just that, we're always worried about a breach, and it'll cost us our job or our manager's job or someone's job. And that's why it's really important to do type of gaming modules to make sure that we're in the best shape possible. And yes, so if you can answer this question, I have a Reese's or Kit Kat for you. Go for it. Huh? No. 96. Reese's or Kit Kat? Reese's. Yes. Oh, okay. Not only that, so I did share a little bit about some statistics and everything, but also it's transformed lives. And remember when I was talking about those biases, I have two stories that actually share these kind of things. So one is Veronica. Veronica was studying computer science by accident, but she was actually planning to originally study Latin and Greek, and she was also taking computer science classes. And she just realized that that would probably be better for her. And so when she graduated, she was like, I don't want to do a PhD. So instead she went to youth development. And she did that for about 5 years after graduating, and she loved it, but it didn't challenge her. She wanted to be kind of something that would inspire her, empower her. And so one day she saw like this ad with a partnership with the DoD as a boot camp. And it drew her to it because they said on there, we're looking for problem-solving ability, being able to work on problems for a long time, and the willingness to be disciplined too with your learning. And since she loves patterns and puzzles and whatnot, she started out with the reverse engineering challenge with Escalate. And afterwards, she went to a consulting company for about 6 months within InfoSec. And her title was a technology consultant, but she really was a pen tester. And so she actually was approached by Point 3 because she was scored the highest out of all. And so they brought her on, and basically now she works with us. But the thing that is important to know is that she never set off to be a hacker. She never knew that that was something that was going to be good for her until she realized that from that boot camp. Valentina. So Valentina, she studied psychology. Wasn't a big fan of math, but yet she took a math class in college and she realized she had this huge love for it. So she went to go to school to continue to study math at UIC, and she did an internship in the physics department, and she had to basically learn some basic coding and took a class in computer science as well. And afterwards, she worked as an economist at the Federal Reserve Bank. She discovered a passion for computers at that point because she thought it would be so cool to tell a computer what to do and it'll do it for her. And she just thought, I really also want to learn a little bit more about what else I can do with a computer. So she thought it would be really cool to basically go into hacking, and the reason for that, she saw the movie Hackers. Who's seen Hackers? Excellent. So she thought it was like really cool, and so she was like, I really like the early computer, like internet culture, hacking community image, and it really attracted her to it, but she didn't know where to start. And she also thought, like, she always kept seeing this image of, you know, anytime you look up hacker on Google Images, what do you get? You get the black hoodie, the guy in front of his computer like this, you don't see his face, and cans of Red Bull. Red Bull's true, but I mean, let's be real. So she saw a press release from Chicago. It was the mayor actually posted it saying that they're looking for anyone who's interested in maybe being recruited for the DoD. And so she decided she was going to go and do this, and she applied, and she got accepted. So once again, this event was sponsored by Escalate, and she had absolutely zero experience beforehand. And within 3 months, she knocked it out of everything. So within 3 months, with no experience, she actually realized that this is something she was actually good at. And not just that, but the instructors noticed that she was way ahead of her time. And within 3 months, she was actually recruited out of the 6-month program because she was that good. And this was a way to see these things. And it was funny because basically those that were trying to recruit her from that event during the whole event, they never saw it coming. They never thought that she is the face of someone who would be a hacker. So this was a very different thing for her. So yeah, and now she works at Point3. Yeah, I'm going to share about my colleagues because I love them. They're amazing. And she was offered a software developer position. Now she's a vulnerability researcher. And yes, because this is my second time giving this talk, I want to get to know your story. If there has been anything that gamification has helped get you where you are today in InfoSec, I want to know it. And I want to put it on here. And yes, we can change your photo and your name if you like, but I would love to do that. And last but not least, who was inspired by the movie Hackers? Does anyone remember her name? No. Close, it starts with a V. Valentina, who said Valentina? Okay, I'm gonna go with you. Kit Kat or Reese's? Okay. Thank you. So from the stories, our brain functioning and history, it's very clear that gamification is a necessity right now. And honestly, it's because, let's be real, we're all superheroes. We're the everyday heroes. We're like breaking things, fixing things, we're keeping everyone safe. We're keeping our neighbors safe, we're keeping our family safe. And that's the fantastic thing, is like, give your guys self a pat on the shoulder. You deserve it. Because it's people like us in this room that are making difference right now. We're keeping breaches from occurring, and so on. Any questions? Has anyone seen this skit? Okay, good thing, because I ended a little bit early so we can watch this, by the way. It is amazing. Any questions? You can also ask me at the end. It's totally fine if you're shy. Don't worry. I got you. But I also wanted to ask everyone a favor, if you don't mind. If you see right here, there is a huge event that's going to happen on November 2nd. And for the first time ever, women around the world are going to do a virtual CTF. Right now, we're over 600 women, and it was just announced last Monday. And I'm asking for you guys to share this around. Tweet it out, share. Let every single woman, even at your company, know about this. And it's so important because it's capped at 1,000. And I basically was just like, I really want this event to happen. I want to show that women are really into this stuff too. So basically it's for all levels. So even if it's your first time doing a CTF, it is going to be reverse engineering and it'll be a walkthrough. After that, it's basically, there's different modules for you to do. And there will be big prizes, possibly a full trip to DEF CON, hotels, everything covered and paid for, and some other really cool other prizes as well. So please share this around, let people know about it, because let's make history, you guys. Come on. All right, and also I just want to say thank you to Texas Cyber Summit so much for having me, and a special shout out to Joseph and my wonderful volunteers in this room for making this amazing event, and thank you guys for existing. And I always end that reason for thank you for existing is because a lot of us have been feeling like we're isolated and alone, and I just want to let you know that you should not feel like this at all. And if you do, my DMs are always open. And I'm always there to listen and even guide you if you need resources at all. There's also Mental Health Hackers, which is doing great, incredible work. So if you need anything, feel free to reach out. That is what we need to be more like in this community, is be there and open. Now I'm going to share you a really funny clip. Are you guys ready? Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, come on, where's that energy? I give you some candy. Also, I have some really cool stickers. I got some swans. Because, you know, swans are gorgeous and everything, but has anyone tried to get close to a swan? You know what happens, right? They hiss and they will attack you. They're badasses. So I have some swans, and then I have some special stickers for red teamers and blue teamers. So feel free to come up, and I do have some leftover candy. So if you come up and talk to me, I got candy for you. Okay. Let's do this now. It'll take me 1 second. All right. You guys ready for this? I heard someone say they love this. I do too. It's my favorite thing in the world around this time of the year. Anyway. Thank you guys for being here. And once again, I have stickers, candy, and any ladies here from Women Hackers, raise your hand. All right, those that are not in this room, come up and talk to me. Let me get you in here. It's free and it's a lot of fun. And plus, I'm totally down for getting drinks later with all y'all. Anyway, I'm here all day, and thank you guys again.
Big thank you.